All right. The bells are ringing. You know it is time for another DevOps Insights Forum. Welcome one and all. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the DevOps Insights Forum. It's a monthly open space for professionals to chat about software delivery and reliability. I'm Sam Fell, and we have a fantastic topic for us today. AAA, analytics, automation, and AIOps. Providing reliable and secure service doesn't just happen. Traditionally, teams of humans, I don't know why I put that in quotes, spend hours monitoring and managing the performance of services without the benefit of computer assistance. But what happens when the humans are aided with capabilities like analytics, automation, and AIOps? Join this panel of experts as we discuss how analytics forms the foundation for great observability, how reducing MTTR with anomaly detection and cause analysis, and how we can reduce cognitive load while increasing employee retention. We have a fantastic panel of experts and industry folks to join us. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. I'm going to start on the left with Mitch. Hey, Mitch.
Hey, Sam. Good to be with you today and with this great panel. Mitch Ashley. I am principal with Techstrong Research Analyst Firm and also CTO with Techstrong Group, who helps put on these events with Sumo Logic. So great to be with everyone again today.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, Iwan, welcome.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. So my name is Iwan, I live in the Netherlands, and I lead the Service Reliability Architect team in Infor. And we're, other than SRE, we're Gandalfs. And if you want to know more about us, just check on YouTube what the SRA means for Tolkien. Nice. And you see my QR code, and it's safe to scan it, and you can get in touch with me.
Nice, that's awesome. And you can drop the link if you want to your video one in the chat. I see people already getting in the chat. I love that. I haven't even gotten to that part of the program. You guys, you folks in the chat are way ahead of me. The audience is great. Bruno, you're up.
Hey everyone, I've probably met some of you in the past series of this. I'm Bruno. I'm a head of strategy and a founder of a company called Sumo Logic. We are a cloud-based platform for observability and security, so some of these topics are very relevant to what we talk about, but we're here to kind of discuss some data and hear from these very, very excellent panelists. So I look forward to the conversation.
Lovely. Thank you, Bruno. Great to see you on this program again. Yes, you are constantly here with me, which is lovely. We're happy to have you. This is a new person, Raj. Hey, Raj. I'm not going to attempt to say your last name because I don't want to embarrass myself. How are you doing? Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sam, for having me and the panel. I'm Raj. I lead the U.S. cloud operations at Automation Anywhere. I've worked in the industry for almost 20 plus years. I was with Paxata or Datadog prior to this. And then overall, I've worked in this industry, cloud ops, DevOps, you name it, the terms, I was in every side of the domain. And just a quick 30 seconds about what is Automation Anywhere. The first question to ask in your mind is, what will you automate next? That's the mind question you should be asking. And we are here to augment humans to replace their mundane tasks, not replacing humans, just want to make them more innovative than doing the mundane tasks. That's it.
Sounds like automation, Raj. Sounds like something we're talking about. I love it. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. Last but not least, Tanushree, welcome.
Hey there. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on. My name is Tanushree. I'm a product manager at Cloudflare. I've been at Cloudflare for a little over a year and a half. Was previously on our data team, so everything logs and analytics, and have recently shifted over to Cloudflare serverless platform. So more on the developer space of things. So excited to talk today about AAA.
Excellent. AAA. Yes, exactly. And I want to just say that this is probably the best audience we've ever had. So if you're in the audience right now, I'd like you to pat yourselves on the back and congratulate yourselves. You're way ahead of the curve here. This forum is for you. We want you to speak up. I'm seeing everybody from Switzerland, Austin, Seattle, India, Cambridge, San Jose, Toronto, Belmont, Uruguay, Portugal, Canada, and Orange County. all already on the call using the chat. So thank you for that. Keep it up. The panelists are here for you. Engage with them, ask them questions, answer questions as we pose them to you. We're all learning here. We all want to learn. Be respectful. If you're not respectful, you'll just be excused from the event. Cody will kill you. He'll just wipe you out. And share feedback, right? This forum is a work in process constantly. So if there's any feedback on how we can make it better, please let us know. So let's warm up that chat. A lot of you have already done that. Yeah, Cody, I will. I'll do it. I'll kick you out. He'll do it. Don't threaten. So if you would, just let us know. If you haven't already, let us know where you're in the chat. And let's get into the program. We're going to start with our friends at DevOps.com and Techstrong. They run a pulse meter survey for us. And we're going to run a poll here to see how our audiences compare. So answer this question. Have you or are you implementing AIOps at your work? So there's a yes, there's a no, and then there's a what is AIOps, which I know what I'm going to answer. We'll give everybody a vote exactly. Vote today. Sean Ford, yes, exactly. Happy Voter Day today, everybody. Hopefully you've had a chance to go and do that. Important to make your voice heard. So vote in our poll. Have you or are you implementing? Yes, 29%. No, a large percentage, though the majority are not. And about the other half are either doing it or don't know what it is. So interesting. I expected the what is AIOps to be a little bit higher, I think. But that's good. We've got a smart crew. Let's see what the DevOps.com team said. Okay, yep. Similar amount for the yes, but tied up for no and what is AIOps. So it feels like that's kind of more of a new thing for people. Is that what it says to anybody else on the panel here? What are you seeing?
Yeah, not unusual. We tend to get the kind of yes confirmation bias answers to these kind of questions because folks come here to hear about this topic. So these polls are done on a broad basis. So
yeah.
All right. So folks in the audience, how are you using automation? You can click all that apply. Are you automating your continuous integration, your tests, your builds? Are you automating the release? Not just the deploys, but the releases? Are you automating discovery of services? Are you automating remediation? Let's see what people say. Where the fall off is. We'll give people a second to vote. All right. We got some results here. How are we doing? Okay, we are automating CI. Right. This is the waterfall that I would have expected to see, right? The further left you go, the more automation has been put in place.
Sam, I see remediation at a really low percentage. So I think that's a huge opportunity for the folks who are in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have the link, Raj, you want to add your link to your Illuminate session on how you work with Shoreline to help with your incident response and automation.
Sure. I'll do that.
Could be interesting to people. Yeah, it is interesting, the remediation piece. It's not surprising, however. I think getting into that auto remediation piece, that's sort of advanced math for a lot of folks.
I think it's interesting, too, that automating release is keeping pace somewhat with automating CI. I mean, that's where we start is on CI, but good to hear that the release part is being automated as well.
Yep. Yeah, I would guess that the value of CI is added to when you automate the release as well. When you have the full process lockdown. All right, so let's see how this compares. So to CI and release are breaking away, right? Same here, right? So CI and release. CI much further to the right on the standard DevOps.com, where we're at 629 people answering this question. So it's not one or two folks. And automating release a pretty distant second, more to your point, about where you'd think that this would fall. So very interesting. All right. So what does AIOps mean to you, folks in the audience? Is it a black box algorithm that may provide value? Is it a black box algorithm that provides a ton of value? Is it a platform to aggregate data and apply analytics to gain insight? Is it a threat? Is it come and take my job away? Or should we just ask Alexa? Just Alexa will tell us.
I'm waiting for my Alexa to fire off here.
All right. Hey, Alexa, order Mitch some diapers.
It sounds like you're trying to shop.
There we go.
In your country or on your device yet.
Thank you very much.
Now, go to your preferred Amazon site or to the Amazon link.
Oh, Lord.
Mine
All
fired
right.
up too.
Wow. 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 This is impressive. This is amazing.
The people have spoken.
Holy cow. I've never seen an answer this certain. Platform to aggregate data and apply analytics to gain insight. So if I were writing a definition, that would be the one that 79% of the people said was the right one. So that'd be the one that I would go with. Amazing. All right. And so let's see how that lines up. Yeah. Very similar lines up. And if you ask Alexa, not that there is anything wrong with that. Yeah, exactly. I love this. Chat, you're crushing it today. I love it. All right. What does AIOps mean to you? So this interesting stuff. Final poll. And hopefully you all are learning a little bit about the people that you are sharing this space and time with on this event, on this program. How are you and your teams engaging with AIOps? All that apply. Are you automating root cause analysis? Are you getting proactive alerts, intelligent alerts, or other? Let us know in the chat. Let's see what we get. Raj, I saw you put your link there in the chat. Thank you. Auto remediation. Ooh, other feedback loops. Yep. Feedback loops are key. Proactive alerting, okay. And intelligent alerting, alert normalization. Yep. Focused on being proactive and making sure you're not crushing the humans that are still involved in this. Interesting how we started the conversation about the humans in quotes. And, you know, that intelligent alerting is trying to make it easier for the humans to keep up with the pace and the scale of all the technology. So let's
lowering the floor of noise, right? Getting to real valuable.
Right. Yes, exactly. All right. So let's see how this root cause, it's where it's at. How are you doing AIOps? Boom. Automating root cause analysis. So the interesting is a lot more evenly spread, including the root cause. Maybe Christopher was voting multiple times on the DevOps.com website. And Alexandra with detecting suspicious behavior on the platform and alerting law enforcement. Interesting. Yeah, there are lots of different use cases to understand when you get into that data. There's a lot of different ways of using that data. So that's interesting. I'd really be interested in learning more about that. I honestly think that we should do episodes like this where we just invite random people from LinkedIn or whatever to come join us because there's so many smart people out there. It's insane. Okay. Proactive alerting and intelligent alerting. I think that this is just interesting, again, unless anyone has any other comments about how it's geared towards trying to make humans' lives easier and more efficient, more effective.
I like the comment on the alerting, maybe through Alexa itself to alert the officer on the ground.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. So now let's get into our panel. Let's talk topics. So we've done some polls and we've had some data, but AIOps, is it a buzzword or is this a business must-have? People have been talking about AIOps for a while. So what are your thoughts? And I'm going to start with Bruno because I know Bruno has thoughts and I want to hear them.
Do I need to surprise you here?
Nope. Don't surprise me, Bruno. Let it roll.
So we've had plenty of conversations in private about this, Sam, but AIOps to me is a lot of it is a buzzword. Like, and these days, whenever you insert AI into anything, it kind of bastardizes it. But I do think that it's actually an important capability, and that comes from the fact that I think what's happening in the sort of as people transform into digital companies, and response time and intelligent response and situational awareness becomes more and more important. I think we are inundated by floods of alerts and signals from so many places that it becomes overwhelming. Our customers tell us a lot, like, oh, we're trying to sort of manage down and figure out what to respond to, how to respond to. We're getting all these signals, but it's oftentimes for an operator hard to discern kind of where the actual root cause might be, and what is the meaningful alert, and all these other things that are happening all at once are a result of something going wrong, but they are muting our response. They are overwhelming the team, and it's making it hard to actually go and do the work that's necessary. And so I do think that at the very least, based on the previous post, sorting through, consolidating, aggregating these signals into things that are related to each other so that you can make better decisions in this world of kind of floods of thousands of alerts that happen when any incident happens is important. So I think it's a business imperative, at least in that aspect. But I also do think that, the way that we have, entered upon this market of AIOps, I think that's maybe a feature, not so much a market. So
yeah, and I think that it's not just the lay people who are having trouble understanding what that definition is. I mean, if you look at a lot of the different analysts, there's a spectrum of where the automation is actual automation that physically does something in your environment, to automation being just pulling together data, analyzing it for you automatically, and providing you that context. So there's a pretty big range of what people's definitions are. I mean, at the official level, right, at the analyst level. Mitch, you know what I'm talking about. So, and absolutely a recording of this, G-Shanker, will be available. So, Mitch, what did you have to say?
Yeah, I agree with Bruno. I'm always, because I've worked in AI actually since back in the 80s, writing Lisp and Perl.
When it was 20 years away from full AI?
When we were just almost ready to emulate.
We were almost there.
Yeah. we almost had it, and we just somehow didn't get it. But I think there is a lot of interest in machine learning algorithms, primarily because of all the data that we collect. We gather through our observability systems and more telemetry. And I think we're still kind of have the training wheels on figuring out how do we apply that to the right problems that are going to be helpful. Because applying AI to something that isn't going to help us do our work or bring insights is not helpful. So we're still learning about this. I think it's early, and so some skepticism is healthy.
So it's a solution looking for the appropriate problem to apply itself to. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's more than that. It's not quite that. Okay.
Awesome. Let's see. Tanushree, how about thoughts from you on AIOps? Buzzword or business must have?
Yeah, I have to agree with the rest of the panel here. I think end goal of AIOps, which is, auto detecting true positive alerts, incredibly useful for teams across organizations, security teams, IT, networking, really any software teams. I think the term itself, especially AI, is overused in many industries, and true AI is going to, we're maybe within reach. We're not there yet, but a lot of the things that go within these platforms and analytics platforms, machine learning, statistical analysis, all of that is very useful today. And part of it is filtering out the noise and tuning. But yeah, again, I think it's a buzzword itself, but the end goal is extremely useful. And as an industry, we should continue down that path of figuring out how do we get there.
How do we best apply it? I like it. All right, Raj, what are your thoughts here? You know a thing or two about some of this.
Sure. Just to give us some quick background, back in 2016, when Gartner said this was not even a word. So just to give back the history of the AIOps term, In terms of the comments by the other panel, I totally agree with it. Like we ingest terabytes of data to Sumo. We see a ton of noise. How do we make intelligent decisions? That is where we always continue to have a challenge, and we are trying to find creative ways, working with Sumo or other vendors to definitely see what we can make the noise to a right signal. That's the we are scratching the surface of the AIOps. I wouldn't say we are not there yet. We have not matured yet. It's just a beginning of a journey.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I like that idea. Yeah, you can't. And I think Ewan, love to have you sort of expand on your thoughts there in the chat.
Yeah, I think that. I definitely don't think it's something that the business needs because it's a solution, it's a technology. I think the business needs more agility, most likely, and AIOps can help with that. And I think that it's like being said. I think AI is being overused. I really hate the fact that it's only ops. Where's dev? Where's sec? Where's biz? Right? All these three little words, they need to be there. And I think that that's one of the problems. We call everything AI and we put ML in front of it, and all of a sudden it becomes the hammer for which we see everything to be a nail. I think that's just. I think it's a shame. We have to understand better what AI and AIOps means and start identifying or more recognizing the problems that it can solve. And then it's a matter of are you able to use that tool to solve it? Because I think it's way too early days to actively say that everybody needs to have AIOps.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Christopher and Raj, you said it pretty well. The volume of all the data that these humans need to deal with is hard, and so having things that can help you separate the wheat from the chaff, as Christopher mentioned, that's really important. And that's machine learning is really good at doing that. I like your point, Ewan, about is it AI ops, is it AI dev, is it AI sec, is it AI biz? It's all those things, right? Be careful though with the AI dev, because then you get GitHub, which is cruising through all people's code and using AI to then create new code. And I think now it's getting in trouble for plagiarizing code.
Well, this is Sam, exactly kind of the aspect of the AI ops that I get really like wrapped around
the axle. Good. Let it rip.
There's AI, and there's, I don't know whether it was Gartner or who it was that created AI ops. Two completely different things, right? AI ops really kind of targeted as a feature sitting on top of analytic systems and alerting systems to reconcile, connected signals, very much narrowly defined as a technology for that, versus AI, which couldn't be broader as a concept, right? As artificial intelligence, automating and doing all the stuff, right? And so I think that's in part why we have a lot of people who are confused with AI ops versus AI, or just AI ops. Like, what does it really mean, right? Anyway, I'll get off my pedestal here.
No, I think these are the important conversations. So it's good, and I like that a lot of the conversation is also happening in the chat. So that's fantastic. All right, any other thoughts on this buzzword or business must-have? I haven't seen a lot of folks in chat giving me an answer on that, but that's okay if you don't want to go out on a limb and share.
One thing I was going to throw out, Sam, is I'm not sure who coined AI ops, but oftentimes these buzzwords come from the analysts creating new categories. And I know Gartner has AI ops, several others do as well. Yep. Oftentimes their definition is cited. So sometimes that's where this comes from. And of course, then it expands and grows and gets out of control from there.
Right.
To be helpful can also be confusing.
That's right. Yeah. Analysts need a space to analyze. So they sometimes create them. So
another subscription to sell you to.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked about AI ops and whether or not it's a thing or whether it's a pipe dream. But how does analytics, going beyond the buzzword to what it does. How does that analytics and automation help with monitoring and observability? And so I'll start with Iwan this time.
Yeah, I think that. So if I look at what we're doing at Infor and what we're doing with Sumo Logic, and I won't go into details, but we're ingesting logs, and that's mainly what we're doing, with Sumo, and we're increasing the number of gigabytes and terabytes of log ingestion on an annual basis by about 50%, right? And I'm always saying that we're just planting more trees, and it makes it harder to see the forest for them. So I think that analytics and automation helps us to see that forest again, and I think that that's one of the key aspects, because we cannot just drop all those logs. We need those logs to analyze our environment and act responsibly and provide a a very good customer experience. But because we have more and more data, and we need to correlate more and more data into a cohesive picture, the only way that we can do that is by having automated analytics, and use analytics to do the automation with all those logs and act on it. So I think that analytics and automation help us to continue to see the forest, although we're planting more and more trees, to put it that way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have a very large cloud estate that you're trying to manage, and you've got teams that are basically sort of self-service with how much they're ingesting and choosing how they're ingesting and what they're ingesting, so that they can then get the insights that they need. Because without that, it'd be very difficult for you to understand what's going on in between releases and things like that. So that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I think in a microservice environment, and everybody's doing microservice these days, and if not, then they should do AIOps, because those are the two most important buzzwords lately. But you need to have this autonomy, you need to have the independence, but at the same time, you need to have correlation between everything that you're seeing in your environment. So it's just impossible to do it manually and not having any pre-processing. And the more sophisticated your analytics is, the better you get at that, and the more effective you can be. And I don't want to say efficient, because I think that's more cost driven, but when you are effective, you can be actually value driven, which I think is more important, especially when you want to have business agility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you talk about feedback loops, you talk about agility. These are very important aspects, and these are things that analytics and automation can help with. Faster time to understanding. Awesome. Thanks, Iwan. Anyone want to go next, or should I just call on someone? I'm going to call on Bruno since he smirked. All right.
Well, I was trying to keep my face very signals here. This is such a broad topic. I don't even know which part of my answer I should share here. Obviously, I think that analytics plays a role. I'll leave automation for later. In monitoring and observability, because in the world of sort of accelerating rate of change in data being generated by systems that we build, like as we automate more things, more new bits of code appear everywhere, more new bits of signals and data, and in our world, logs and metrics and traces and all this stuff appear. And analytics is, I think, pivotal, because a lot of these data sets that we rely on to manage our systems, to respond to issues in our systems, are not premeditated, right? Nobody really prescribes in a very, very direct way how developers will encode or tag their code as it goes to production, which logs it's going to do, what formats they're going to do. They might be all agreeing that it's going to be some JSON thing, and we're going to have three of these fields, but not everything is going to be premeditated. So in the world of less premeditated data that's changing at a rapid pace, analytics is critical, right? Being able to and the definition of observability states that the system generates data, the analytics-based approach to discern what that data is telling you, to be able to determine what are the actual causes of issues, the whole thing is predicated on the fact that you will not know what's in the data payload almost any time. So analytics are the thing that's going to help you figure that out, right? So I think without analytics, there is no such thing as effective monitoring or effective observability. And it's not getting any easier, right? It's not getting easier for people using technologies. It's not getting easier for vendors like us trying to figure out how do we empower our users to actually have the right level of analytics to figure out what this storm of data, like we analyze more than an exabyte of data a day. Exabyte, think about that, right? And we're doing that in order to figure out on behalf of our customers, what are all these things telling them as they're looking at their real-time operational and security postures, basically. So anyway, yeah. So I think it is very much imperative.
So thank you for that, Bruno. Does anyone else have anything else different to say about this? Because if not, we can move on to our next topic, which could be okay.
Did I take up too much time, Sam?
Yeah, I just don't want to. No, I just don't want to drag people through because this question, I think, it's sort of like feels kind of like a no-brainer. So, if anyone has anything they want to add, please do. Otherwise, I'll
add the other thing basically.
Okay, great.
So I'll add to the automations side of the story.
Great.
So, like our CEO always says, we are in an automation economy, basically. In other words, we try to automate everything and anything possible which we can automate. Most of the times, the challenges are like when we started, our runbook automation is always the challenge because everybody has their own runbooks and standardizing the runbooks and automating. So incident automation, like all these are all tying back to the overall scope of monitoring and observability. Like how do we make sure, like rather than human intervening the systems, like and you don't want to be in the night getting paged. That's the intent, basically. So we are here to we use a product called Shoreline, which helps us with the incident auto remediation, which try to check it out. I'll put the link there in the chat, so for folks to add to the automation story.
Nice.
Go to the next one, if you're okay.
Nice. Very good. Thank you, Raj. All right. So you all are working with folks or are actually managing pretty large estates, using automation, using analytics. What are some of the challenges that people are going to encounter as they're trying to get this stuff up and running? What are some of the things that are going to be a challenge? Raj, you were just speaking. I'm going to go throw it right back to you. What are some of the challenges that people are going to have to overcome when applying analytics or automation in their environment?
Yeah, first is it's like you're stuck in the day-to-day fixing things, not having the time to automate. Like so, until you have a mindset to automate, you're not going to automate. So it's a discipline we need to bring in. Like if you see an incident more than one time, most of the times wherever I work, folks try to hey, I'll fix it by hand, and it's people dependent. So I think we need to focus on process dependency, which will also help.
Yep.
That's one side of the challenge, and second is the analytics. There is a ton of data there. So what metrics is really needed to be monitored? Like everybody has their own metrics, but if you really look at it, it's only 3 or 4 metrics which matter for your day-to-day operation for a particular service. So don't keep too many metrics, which will also it's a controversial topic. Others can disagree as well. So
yeah, no, I love that. Both of those two things. I'm too busy to help myself get out of that hamster wheel. I'm just running around in circles. Or what are the golden signals? How do I sample? How do I find those signals out of all the data? And it could be a combination of data that you need, but how do I get those signals and get them accurately displayed for people to be able to deal with that?
Last but not least, people love to find what is that signal, so they ingest a lot of noise. So now you have to go back and study that noise as well. So still there is a human intervention. The human is needed to help with the automation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Tanushree, what are your thoughts here? What challenges do folks encounter when doing this?
Yeah, I think Raj touched on a good one, which was making the decision to invest time into solving problems in an automated way, and that's a key point. And as a business, you have to have that as a goal. The other one I'd mention, and that I hear about a lot when I talk to customers, but also at Cloudflare we deal with challenges, is around ingesting different sources of data. As a company, you have 50, 100 plus tools that you use. You need to decide what is important here, at least what's important to start out with. How is the data collected? Is it real time? Is it batched? And there's a lot of sort of little technical nuances to deal with there. And then also cleaning it, making sure the data is structured, it's normalized in a way that's actually useful to the engineers downstream that are either creating the analytics or examining the logs itself. Yeah, AIOps is intensive. It can be challenging to implement, and part of it is making the time to do this, and also making sure it's done right, and it's done in a way that's applicable across an entire business. I would say the other thing, and we've touched on this also, is just the sheer volume of data. You really want to be able to filter out the noise. As an engineer looking at alerts, you don't want to be paged in the middle of the night because of false positives. Focusing on the outliers is important, and that's kind of where analytics also helps kick in. Is you get a 100-foot view, and then you realize, like, hey, something's wrong here. Dig into it. So yeah, those are the two things that I'd call out.
Awesome. I love that. And I think you touched on this maybe tangentially, but having some standards around how you're calling things, how you're thinking about the problem. That's a huge part of, I think, doing this, is having agreement between teams on what things are called. Just naming conventions for stuff is a huge problem, because people look like, you're all maybe looking at me right now going like, what is Sam going on about? That seems so dumb. But how do you all agree on what the metric is called if someone's using some metric name and someone's got some other metric name, but it's the same metric, right? This is back to Raj's point about how do you choose those golden signals. Everybody needs to agree on what those golden signals are. I think that's one of the hardest problems, is getting people to agree on things. Computers will do what you tell them. People, not so much. All right. Let's see. Mitch, what are your thoughts? I haven't heard from you in a bit.
Yeah, I know. I was just giving some space there. Several things I've kind of have in mind. One is, I think you have to separate what are vendor products incorporating AI/ML into their products, and what are those things doing for you. The other is doing it yourself. And in that terms, people are always asking, what is AIOps? Usually it means machine learning, and machine learning algorithms. And machine learning means analytics. So just go do a simple search on Python libraries for machine learning. They're all tied into NumPy and Thanos and everything else that is all about data analytics. So those two things go hand in hand. But machine learning algorithms aren't, nanobots from the Terminator that get turned loose and just scour the vast quantities of data and look for interesting things. You turn it to a specific set of data that you're trying to analyze. You're collecting data from the field, from field installers that are installing equipment at customer sites, or things that are coming in alerts from a specific aspect of our system across that. And that's where you apply unsupervised, meaning you do let it analyze the data and look for patterns and things like that. So it's very natural for someone like Tanushree who does this analytics job to use ML as part of their kind of tool set to help them in analyzing. And they'll use it as probably as part of another package, whether that be a Python or anything else. So I think that's the way to kind of think about how to get started, is turn to your analytics team. And I'm sure they're probably already exploring how ML can help them.
Yep. I love it. I'm just responding to Ewan here in the chat. I want to hear from him next on these challenges, because he's saying, if I'm interpreting what you're saying here, Ewan, correctly, is people they're not exactly sure what this thing is doing and whether it's going to do the exact same thing the next time, or what are the inputs that caused the machine to do what it did. So what are your thoughts here? Some of the challenges you want.
Yeah, I think it's the human factor that comes into play. And you've seen it with everything that we automated in the past, right? Everything that we automated, there was quite some time before people started accepting that the automation actually works. I don't know how many sysadmins I worked with that scripted everything, and then they would always go back into a production environment to see whether or not their scripts were working. Same with test automation. And I think it's going to be the same with AIOps. I think that all the good things are there, but for quite a while, people will not trust the AI or the AIOps or the rule engine, whatever you want to call it, is correct and is right. So they will go back into the system and just validate it. And I think that will trickle through the whole organization. And so I think that the biggest challenge, as with every new technology, is actually the human side of it. Acceptance of that new technology being something that can be used, and that will is not a threat to your job, but will actually make your life easier.
Yeah, and Tanushree, I 100% right. It's have to make sure that these tools are transparent and approachable by humans. I think it's a great point. Bruno, you got some thoughts?
Yeah, just generally, sort of to sum back up the challenges of both automation and analytics and AIOps for folks doing it. I think, I mentioned lack of structure, rate of change of data. Data quality is going to be an issue also, right? Having the right quality of data to be able to make decisions, because everybody knows the cliche garbage in, garbage out. Another thing that's going to be a challenge here is going to be fear. Like, people are afraid of automating fully, especially on the sort of tail end of outcome. If you kind of look at everything up front that leads to automation in terms of, let's say, remediation or doing something for security or ops or what have you, the fear of, is everything coming in, coalescing into something that I can trust to actually take an action? Because what if I shut down the wrong node, or if I block a port, or who knows what, right? So fear is going to be a challenge, and I think we've been talking about automation, especially for remediation downstream, for decades now. I remember speaking at conferences in mid-2000s and talking about this. It's going to happen. We're just about to do it, and we're still pretty much struggling. One thing that I wanted to bring up, though, on automation is we acquired a company called Sensu, which innovated in sort of the open source space in terms of data collection and observability. One of the interesting things that they actually invented is this technology, not a technology, or paradigm, right? If you think about automating the pipeline, automating releases, what they built is they built this sort of concept of automating monitoring, meaning automating through your process of writing code. As part of writing code, you're automating creation of alerts that you want to trigger if your code isn't doing what you think it should be doing, and pushing that into the observability platform through your automation, defining it, sort of think of it as monitoring or alerts as code, right? Configures code, all this stuff, essentially to make the alerts more relevant, to reduce some of this noise of bad data or garbage data, to make consistency happen downstream from code. If you automate creation of signals along with your code, you are more likely to have that be done right, rather than writing alerts post facto when things are in production in separate silo from where you're developing it. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting paradigm, and we hope to see that more of that happen in how people create their systems and observability and monitoring. And I think we're at the very beginning of that, at least from what I see.
Mitch,
I
you
just
have
want to jump in on that. I think that's a great insight, and that is, it isn't just about throwing more data out into our logs, right? And somehow we'll find interesting insights in that. It's getting good information, the better information, just like building observability into your applications, not treating it as an after fact that'll happen in ops. It's a super valuable concept.
Yeah. Excellent. There's a very interesting conversation. I don't know if folks are seeing it in the chat about that content moderation.
Replacing humans? Is it the topic about the replacing humans?
Yeah, the content moderation, the whole content moderation team over at Twitter, I guess they're being replaced with automation. That automation, I guess, was being trained by the
Elon
people.
Musk.
Yeah, by us, right? We're training them to.
He's doing the
replace ourselves.
supervised ML algorithms.
Right?
I think there are certain aspects of automation may replace, but not all. Like I would say, think it this way: there is ton of bias there, right? Even in the automation, also there is a ton of bias. It requires continuous effort. It's a continuous tweak, because what is today doesn't mean that what is tomorrow. The rules are changing every single day. I think that is exactly what Ivan was highlighting. Hey, the tests were working before. Still, we do a little bit of some random thing to make sure it's a continuous process. You still need a team. You need to focus on the innovation piece, not on the mundane task. That's what I think. If you're stuck still with the mundane, definitely, I think you will be challenged.
Yeah. So get rid of that toil, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a virtuous cycle. The more you can lean on automation and analytics to help your humans do the right things, the more time your humans do to do things beyond having to lean on the analytics on the automation. I mean, it's a virtuous cycle. So go ahead. Sorry. Somebody has something to say? No? Okay. So we talked about some of the challenges. What are some of either the good practices or some of the benefits for folks who get this right? Right. We got about 10 minutes left. So Iwan, I'm going to start with you. What are good practices you should follow or benefits that you've experienced? Either one of those two.
Yeah, I think that a very good practice has always been to, start small, right? Think big, but start small. Make it not too costly to fail. Accept failure and learn from it. And also, one of the things that I found very valuable and good practice in the past with the introduction of every new technology is to ensure that the right stakeholders are from day one involved, especially with the stakeholders that you usually don't want to work with, like security people, compliance people, because they might be the ones that will throw a wrench in your gearbox. So if you want to do AIOps, if you want to do analytics, make sure that you inform all the important stakeholders, but also ensure that you always look at working with those people that will gain any value from it. And I typically use the words make sure that it's useful and also that's usable. And if those two are in place, then you're guaranteed for success almost.
Nice. Those are all very, very good practices. I like it. Tanushree, what are your thoughts here? What are some good practices when implementing automation and analytics for your team?
A couple of suggestions I would make is learn from your technology partners as they're implementing AI in their products. Don't just kind of say, that's nice. Ask about it. Ask where they're not going to disclose all their secrets, but they're interested in learning too. And I would think they would want to show where the value that AI and ML is helping. And then apply the kind of crawl, walk, run approach, right? And set expectations with your leaders. Don't let this be the latest airline magazine fad that the manager comes back and said, yeah, I read about it on the plane today. We need one of them. Let's get us some AI, ML, whatever that is. Make it real and set some realistic goals, but step into it and learn with it.
Right, exactly. Ready, shoot, aim. All right. Tanushree, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I agree on the start small piece, but I also think it's important to, as an organization, understand where your biggest problems are. What are the pain points that you're experiencing? Maybe where are your customers complaining that, we have service disruptions or things that are happening that you notice that can be made better, and focus on those to start off with. What data would show you the root cause of the problems that you're seeing, and sort of work backwards from there is a great starting point. What do you wish you had during this incident that occurred, and how can we make that better? So I think just looking at the current state of things right now, and then where do you want it to be, and sort of measuring progress towards there is also super important. Sometimes you can start blindly, start ingesting data from tens of data sources, and then you're sort of left in a place where you don't actually have a goal, you don't know what's going on. So it's important to start small, but make sure it's impactful and measure your progress along the way too. And as a team, it's very motivational to do that as well, to say, like, over the past 6 months, here's what we've done, and here are the metrics that we've seen improve. Here's what we want to do next. Having those goals and treating it like as a product is super important as well.
Can I just jump in on this? First of all, I totally agree with that, and cannot improve what you cannot measure, right? But to both actually Tanushri's and Raj's previous points, one of the things that I think matters is, like, okay, deciding what you care about. To Tanushri's point about, like, what are the issues that you or your customers actually, whatever that is, and Raj is also sort of how to figure out kind of what to measure. Paradigm of the service level object. I talked about this on the show before, but at the risk of repeating myself, I'll say it again. Thinking about kind of creating a language between the technologists of the company and the business of the company through this concept of service level objectives, right, is something that we are exploring ourselves internally for our own systems. And I think Google codified this more than a decade ago. And there's more stuff being written about it. We're trying to embed it into our own products to create this language of what really matters, right? Does it matter if some node is down, or does it matter more if you know that your customers are experiencing whatever issue that is, right? Figuring out what are the objectives, what are the indicators, what are the budgets, and encoding that. And then, like Tanushri said, start top down. What do you have? What do you need in order to figure out what the indicators are? What does it mean to be in a bad state? When do you need to react? All this stuff to create that taxonomy, the agreement, which is very important between the business and technology, and actually then act upon it in a way. So I think that that's something that, might be a good practice, and it's codified. Like, there's a lot of people trying it out, learning from it, failing from it, improving it. And we see that all of our customers are very interested in that sort of concept of negotiating out what your objectives are, and then working towards them.
I like it. Raj, what are some of your thoughts on this one? You've done this before.
Sure. I'll use a different analogy here. So don't do automation just for the sake of doing automation. Okay, that's a simple, it looks simple, but it is hard. I'll tell you the challenges we face. So we look at the challenges and the data. What is the problem we are trying to solve? Look at the data and try to see what we want to automate next. Like, what are the problems we want to automate? So look at from a value perspective. I totally agree with the small, but still the small need to be data driven. Like, what is that you want to automate, right? Like, for example, hey, I'm creating like Jira tickets to automating the whenever there is a heap dump, right? That's a simple problem, but people do manually, and how many times it happens. Like, try to define what is the when you define a goal, saying that, hey, I want to save people's time, so that way they can focus on innovative evaluating tools or those things. Creativity will increase when you automate. That's the so try to automate small, but focus on the data to make that decision. That's all.
Nice. Yeah, John Cleese talks about creativity as requiring time and space. So you need to give people the ability to clear out their head and give them time with that space. So the automation and the analytics can help with that.
And one last thing is the bias is always a challenge because, say, for example, the tools, whatever you have, they have natural bias within the product based on the people who develop. But you know your data, so based on your data, you make the right decisions. So you start building intelligent algorithms on top of the systems, whatever you have. So that's what will make your decision making better in terms of alerting or remediation, whatever, right? So I think Bruno said it very simple. If you're automating the garbage in, then you'll automate the garbage out. So you have to understand, you automate the noise and make it as a signal, then that's a value.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right. I think we've heard from everybody on this question already. Have we? I think we have. And
Sam,
that's,
do you want to take a question from the audience, so that way we can?
I do. There was this one about the database that might be interesting. I don't know what if the panel thinks that that's something for us to talk about. Basically, getting transparency into sounds like the models that are being used, the AI models that are being used.
Can you repeat the question or post? Sorry, I missed that question.
I'm trying to find the question. I'm trying to find it. Somebody else help me. Some AI databases should be open sourced.
Bumble.
Bumble AI. So I don't understand the.
I just Google it. When you Google it, you'll understand it.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to do that.
There seem to be very interesting, and I obviously don't know anything about it other than that there's some interesting social implications of what the first article that comes up on Google about it is. So you'll understand why the question is posed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can't do that right now. I'm not going to do that right now.
Yeah,
but we are 3 minutes from the end of the session. I do have a couple of Amazon gift card winners. Viramani K, Alexandra K, San M, and Louis P have all got, you will all get contacted by our friends at DevOps.com. You've won an Amazon gift card, so congratulations. Everybody else, and including the ones who won the Amazon gift card, you've all won some knowledge here. We appreciate you joining and listening, and more importantly, contributing. That's what makes this program, for me anyways, so special, is the conversation that we have with all of you folks in the audience. This is who we're doing it for. I appreciate the panelists as well. Really, really great to have you all here. And we will see you all next month. Let's see, what are we talking about next month? Next month is DevOps trends and predictions. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. We've got some folks from Forrester, from EMA, from Research in Action. Analysts are going to be coming to give us their thoughts on where we're headed and what we've been doing and what we're going to be doing next year, what their thoughts are. So that should be fun. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.